5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Done a new intro, nearly caught myself out with it there. How the devil are you all? Wherever you are in the world, one of those is sure to apply to you. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube. If that is how you are watching us. If you're not live, don't worry, Craig can dig a graveyard for you. Just found out his latest hobby. Don't ask, don't know. We talk about some strange things before we come live, I'll tell you. And grave digging is just one of them. If you are listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for lending me your ears. And if you are watching on YouTube but watching it on catch-up, thanks for popping by. Leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. Obviously, as we always say, just keep it respectful. If you're watching live, get your comments in, join in with the chat. No football. By the way, I nearly forgot then, and it's there in front of me on the screen. We are now on Blue Sky. Yes. A bit of ELO here. Mr. Blue, you dirty rat. Then it's Mr. I don't even think I've got the words right there. Now it's a little curve. Yeah. I like that song. I'm sure a lot of you lot did before I started singing it. Twitter, well, X, whatever it's called these days, is going down the pan quicker than a bout of diarrhea after a curry. It is disappearing so quickly. Blue Sky, I tell you what, I've only joined it yesterday, so I've got about 40 followers, and I'm getting more interaction on there than I ever get on Twitter. So if you are yourself on Blue Sky, and I tell you what, if you're thinking about it, if you can use Bluetooth, if you can use Twitter or X, you can use Blue Sky, because the guy that started it up is the guy that started up Twitter. You may notice it. Ronald is in. Good evening, Ronald. How are you? John. Hi, John. And Ray as well. Good evening to all three of you. Thank you for joining us. Look, let's just get this out of the way, because this came up, and I did consider actually whether to talk about this or not, but I decided against it. EFL chairman hints at Leicester City PSR action amid nonsensical problem, reports Leicestershire Live. An appeal board ruled in September that City were not in breach of profit and sustainability rules, but the EFL said would look into potential routes to take action. They just can't. And they're after us. I mean, is it personal? I mean, really? I mean, Richard Parry, he's got to do a Frozen, hasn't he? Let it go. We beat you. I mean, you might catch us next season when we come back down. Almost certainly going down playing football the Cooper way. Oh! I said I wouldn't say that word. Let's get on it. This is Chatting City. It is a Tuesday. I've got the gravedigger and I've got the bus conductor, both in the background waiting to come in. Let's get them in. Craig, good evening. Kate, good evening. How are you both?
All right, thank you. How you doing?
Very good. Have you been enjoying? Well, I know you've not, because I asked you before. But Craig, have you been enjoying the Nations League exciting football? We got promoted.
Yes, we did get promoted, and I've got to say, I actually watched 0 minutes.
Which was pretty much what Kate watched as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, if it could be less, it would have been less.
I had other things to do. There was some paint that hadn't dried, loads of stuff, So,
Look, I've said it there. 9 players withdrew from the weekend's Nation League fixtures. Fatawu and AU returned with injuries, which we'll come on to. And Vestergaard and Faze performed probably as badly as they ever have done. I think Vestergaard got a 1 out of 10 for his performance. So we've got to say, look, we got promoted, but Craig, so did San Marino.
yes, they did. Scott came and broke the news yesterday in very excited fashion, to be honest. So,
How is it?
there's hope for everyone. There's going to be God knows how many players checking whether they've got San Marino in, grandparents, and God knows what, thinking they may get some international football now. I've checked. I haven't, sadly.
Kate, I've got to say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Blakey. Are either of them from San Marino at all?
Sorry?
Are either of your mum or dad from San Marino?
No, sadly not. My grandparent was Scottish, so I could play for Scotland.
Well, never mind. Despite that, we still like you. But what is the point of internet? I mean, if the player, look, we've been through this before years ago, but if the players aren't interested, despite what Kane says, why do we bother? I mean, there's just so much more club games, and there is actually a poll going on at the moment. If you are watching on YouTube, club, country, or both, so let us know your thoughts. But is anybody else really, really interested in national football? Kate?
Oh, sorry. Well,
Sorry to wake you up.
If you're building up to a tournament and they're qualifiers, it tends to gain more interest for sure. But this Nations League is just Mickey Mouse, and it's the 3rd break we've had before Christmas. It makes the timetable really intense for players. Like I said to you before the show, it's not so much the playing of games, because arguably they'd have played Premier League football this weekend had the England players not played. But it's the travelling around, it's constantly being on flight. Some of these players travel to the other side of the world. Harry Suter goes back to Australia. Buonanotte goes back to Argentina. It's a really lot of pressure on your body, I think. And I think that's why these injuries happen. It's too much football. So you can understand why players withdraw. I think for the African nations, there wasn't it AFCON qualifiers. So you could argue, I guess, that that's a proper qualifying tournament. But this Nations League is just a money churner, to be honest.
Okay, they brought it in, I think, didn't they, to replace just meaningless friendlies. And now we just have meaningless Nations League games.
Yes, and no, I haven't got a problem with it at all, to be honest, because I see it very much like Premier League and League Two or the Nations League or whatever. These countries need to play competitive football to improve. Now I'm not saying that we should all be involved, and maybe there's an argument to say the top 16 seeded teams for the Euros don't need to go into this, because essentially that's what it is. They try and make it into something that helps your qualification for the Euros. But I think it's important that those so-called lesser nations have an opportunity to play international football and improve themselves. I bet there's, as you talked about San Marino, I'm sure there's rejoicing amongst the millionaires of San Marino over the weekend.
There was partying in the streets, I believe.
Yeah. So it's the biggest honor for a player to get picked for their country, and it just comes with the territory. I haven't got a problem with any of it. And Kate, you really let me down by saying too much football. I haven't got one iota of sympathy for any professional footballer. We can go into that debate till the cows come home. But for me, there's a squad, use them. If players go away on international duty and they're a little bit tired, sad, but, just get on with it. I've got no problem. Go and play your international football. Come back, do your job. That's me.
Craig Berg, news at 10.
Thank you and good night.
Yeah. Hi, TM. How are you doing? Nice to see you back again. Kate, is it an honour to be picked for your country? Really? I mean, and I know disrespect, but James Justin's got a cap. He's not exactly, the
What do you think that means to him, though? You said, does it matter? What do you think that cap means to him? And when he shows his kids and his grandkids?
Keeps his head warm when it's raining. But I know. I know what you're saying, but I just think it's so easy. I mean, years ago, you had to be really, really good to be in the England squad. These days, Kate, you just don't need to get injured and you're in.
No, I disagree with that. You got to also play for the right club to get in.
Well, yeah.
But no, I think it's an honour to play for your country. I think it's still seen amongst athletes as the pinnacle, because only a select few get picked. There's many out there without caps. And when you say even James Justin, like if James Justin hadn't had his ACL, I kind of would bet my money on the fact that he'd have beaten Ben Chilwell to that left back position. He was absolutely flying before that ACL issue. So I do think that there's still a lot of emphasis on the England setup. It's seen as like the elite level. You've seen all the players still get really excited about it. But I just query some of the competitions that the internationals now generate, because I don't like this Nations League. I think it's it's just glorified, meaningless friendlies. And I'd prefer to have club football for me, but only because I'm not a huge fan of international football anymore. But for the players, I still think it's absolutely their prime target to eventually play.
Do either of you watch? And I'm the same as you, Kate. Do either of you actually watch any qualifiers, whether it's for the Euros or whether it's for the World Cup? Because we're in groups, Craig. Let's be honest with you. We're in groups that if we can't get out of, then we might as well pack up and never play football again. The groups are set up for the big countries, as in the countries whose TV channels put the most money into it. It's set up for them to get to the finals. All right, occasionally you have a shot like Italy not getting through, etc. But generally speaking, if we don't get through these days, then we might as well just line everybody up against the wall and shoot them. So it's literally only the tournaments that really sparks any interest.
I agree up to a point, but again, if you follow that line of arguments through, you might as well not bring any Premier League teams into the FA Cup until there's only 20 teams left or whatever. It's about that journey and giving those other teams an opportunity to improve as well. This is about European and world football. It's like us looking at the Premier League and that being the be all and end all of the domestic game, and we're looking the same way and making it an elitist game for just those countries at the top end, whereas all those other countries it's like a League Two pulling an away tie at Liverpool or Man U or whatever, that one of the lower teams for once gets to play a big boy in their own backyard. And do we want to take that away from these people as well? This is a global game that appeals to everyone on every level. And I just don't like the fact that we make it elitist and it's only about the elite teams and on an international or domestic level.
So, and just let me stick with Craig for 1 second, Kate. So basically then we have these internationals just to make San Marino, Andorra, and all these other little countries feel good.
No, it's a World Cup. What are you saying, that we don't have the qualifiers anymore? We just get seeded?
You could seed it to a certain degree, and then the teams. But let's be honest with you, San Marino. they're never going to get to a World Cup. Let's be honest. I mean, yes, they've got promoted, but they're never going to get to a World Cup. However, if you've got past the seeds, let's say you've got 12 seeded places and then you've got 12 unseeded places, where the likes of San Marino, who probably only play 4 or 5, maybe 10 league games a season, we got the San Marinos, the Liechtensteins, the Andorras, those sort of teams in there. You'd even stick Scotland in there, let's be honest with you. So, sorry, anybody from Scotland.
Right.
And then let them sort of have the qualifiers. I mean, if we didn't have the Nations League, we'd still have friendlies at this time, because that's what the Nations Leagues replaced, was friendlies. But nobody's watching it. I just don't, if the players can't be asked to go along, and obviously it didn't mean a lot. Let's just have a look at which players pulled out. Aaron Ramsdale, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Levi Colwill, Declan Rice, Saka, Cole Palmer, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, with possibly injuries, possibly not. Obviously playing for the country doesn't mean that much to them. So, this sort of, it's an honour to play for the country. Is it?
I'd be wondering how much pressure is put on those players by their clubs. I think you've got to take that into account as well.
Okay, if we go back to Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, Ryan Giggs never played any games for Wales until it got to the final stages of qualification. They might win somewhere. He was always being pulled. Well, or he was always pulling, obviously, allegedly as well. But yes, I went there. But so nothing's changed, has it? Really?
I suppose it depends. I mean, I've just seen there was 80,000 fans at Wembley on Sunday. So it is still watched and desired. And up until 2016, I went to France in 2016, and I was fortunate enough to get 6 games in the ballot, which included the quarterfinal Spain versus Italy, which was brilliant. And one of the most exciting things about that tournament, as it turned out, was that Vardy and potentially Drinkwater would have been in the squad. And then that, for me, that tournament I spent a lot of money that summer. That tournament ultimately killed my love for England, because Jamie Vardy got 15 minutes on what was the best performance by an English striker that most of us can remember in this last 20 years. And Drinkwater got dropped for the injured Jack Wilshere, who had been injured since the January of that year and had barely played any football. That's why I don't watch England anymore. I find it quite corrupt. I find it quite biased. I find it's not done on merit. It's done on the club that you play for. And we were directly on the receiving end of that for the first time in my life, really, that Leicester City players could and should have gone, and they didn't. So that's where I stand on it. But I think there's a lot of people out there that still have a lot of passion for the England team. But similarly, like these players, you've got a decision to make when it's such an important run-in now, this time of the season, that you do have a decision to make, and you wouldn't want to risk injury. So I think that's what they've done. And obviously, Jack Grealish has openly said that Cardsley has made him enjoy playing for England again in the previous game. So I think Jack Grealish has got a bit of the hump with England, as most players find out that they do, because they're wanted when the shit hits the fan. And then they're not wanted. Like, I don't know why Grealish didn't go in the summer. So it's the inconsistency around England and how it works for me. But I do think there is still a desire to see international level football. It's just not for me anymore.
I think there's two parts. There's 2 parts to this. There's the tournaments, the games, should we be playing them, and then there's the way that it's run, and the way that the England team is picked. And all of that. And I'm very much with you on that side of it. I don't watch them. It doesn't make me excited that England are playing just because of the way that it's done. But that doesn't make me want to lose the elements of tournament football and, the qualification and all that. I enjoy all that. And there's nothing, every summer that there's not a big football tournament is a boring summer, isn't it? Let's face it. if there's not a World Cup or a Euros, we're
we had everything this summer. Everything going. We had this summer.
Yeah, yeah.
Olympics and all sorts.
Olympics and everything. But so there's two sides of an argument for me. Is the way the England team is picked and run correct? Should that be looked at? Is it done on merit? That's a whole different argument. Should the tournaments be played? That's a different argument for me. And I'm fully behind the more football, the better for me around the world. It's the best sport in the world. And I wouldn't want anybody to be deprived of watching the highest quality football possible just because we want to turn it into something elitist. But the way the England team is run, stuff them.
Keeping away, I think if we started talking about the way that the England team is run, we'd have 100% agreement between the three of us. So there's no.
That then leads into the desire to watch or not watch. Like, I like watching tournament football, and truth be told, I'm not really asked about England succeeding. I just love watching international tournaments. I love some of the stars that come out of it, like the 16-year-old for France in the summer. It was incredible to watch him. And I do enjoy watching some of the England players. Like, I love watching Jude. I think he's a breath of fresh air because he doesn't play in England. And there's some real gems that come out of it, some different ways of playing football, some charismatic managers that come out. I love all about that. And I love the hype around the tournament. The host country is normally really excited, and it kind of transforms their life for a month. It's really good. But a lot of this, it just seems a lot of needless stuff all of a sudden, in terms of, you're going to be playing friendlies when you've got a really big game in the club competition.
But isn't there always, there could always be a big game, couldn't there?
I mean, how did it work? Obviously, this is before my time a bit, but how did it work, say, I don't know, leading up to Italia 90, which was arguably one of our best competitions? How did fitting in the qualifiers go in the 80s and other friendlies and stuff? Was it as little as it is now?
Didn't we just used to play midweek, Craig?
We probably did, but there wasn't the spotlight on it. We've now got football channels that need to fill 24 hours. We've got online newspapers, we've got online channels, there's so much hype and spotlight on football that it's become this behemoth juggernaut of a sport that makes people of our similar ages, and even it's creeping through to the young ones like Kate, fall out of love with lots of aspects of football.
Yeah. Who was it? I just want to go back a bit as well. Who was it who said about 80,000 people turned up to watch England?
Kate.
Me.
Kate.
That was you. How many people does Wembley hold?
About 90.
So if people love England that much, on a game which was at the weekend.
It was a Sunday night.
Weekend. Where we've got...
For you that don't work or have young children to get to school in the morning, it's a Sunday night.
I've had 4 kids. I know what it's like.
I know, but the Sunday night is a work night for people because you've got to be up and out the next day.
But then we've got to keep the TV companies happy. But what I'm saying is, it was still a weekend. It wasn't a midweek game. It was a weekend. We got a chance to qualify for the Group A or Stage A, whatever they bloody call it, and yet we couldn't fill the stadium. So that says to me that international football's a turn-off for the fans.
I don't know. I think that's pretty good, to be honest, getting 80,000 in on a Sunday night. But
that's, to be honest, that's more than I thought that we're there or we're going to be there. I mean, should we open another can of worms and saying, should England be playing all of these games at Wembley?
Well, there you see, you're getting me. No, they
should be at the KP. They should have half of them at the KP.
Yes,
it should be. They should have built in Birmingham.
Yeah,
they should have built it in Birmingham, but they should also be taking it around the country as well.
Absolutely. That would really improve engagement.
Hey, Spain don't have.
Sorry, Craig. Before you go,
let me just make that point. Spain don't have a national stadium. They take it around.
Good point. Maybe that would create more of an interest, because if you live in Newcastle and if it's a Sunday night and you've got kids to get up for school in the morning, getting down to London for a game. And can I just say, Kate, if you're going to quote these figures, get it right. The actual attendance was 79,012. So please get your information right.
Oh, bloody hell.
I just think and again, I'm not sure who it was. Somebody made the good point that if you've got a big run of games coming up, or a big game coming up, look, there's a break in January, an international break when the FA Cup starts. That could be a big game. If we get Man United in that round or whatever, who knows? And then we've got players going off to Africa or wherever. We've got those big games. And if you're a club like Leicester, tell me a game that isn't a big game this season. And I want to take that point forward with that. And let me come to you with this, Craig. Ayew and Fatawu look like they're going to be out this weekend. On top of the other injuries we've got 7 players that could be out. If Vardy is injured still and Daka's not back, that leaves us against Chelsea starting with Edouard up front. We are up shit creek without a paddle, thanks to the internationals.
Well, yes, but you are assuming that Daka won't be back, and Daka's been joined in training for the last 3 weeks now. So I would imagine that he's going to be starting.
Doesn't exactly
it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but all you've taken out, you've got Vardy injured, who knows what that's all about. I'm still expecting him to turn up in the jungle midway through the series, to be honest.
Apparently,
I bloody love that show.
Rebecca Vardy is doing an online blog for The Sun. Who knew?
Seen it.
And apparently, and I've just made a note here because it was football related. I'm a Celebrity that is back on now every night at 9:00. We have to make sure we're finished in time for me to go and watch.
Damn right you do.
Colleen Rooney is in. Before she went in, she was asked if she was worried about getting annoying little bugs in her knickers. And she said no, because she's been married to Wayne for many years now. Anyway, I forgot what we're talking about.
How long did you rehearse that for?
I know.
I've got it written down.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, worth it, I thought. Worth it.
Really? I think me and Craig should be the judge of that. Craig, what do you reckon?
No, not worth it.
No, for me. Goodbye.
Don't judge it at all. But Craig, sorry, you were talking, I believe.
Yeah, so we want about who's going to play up front. Yeah, Edouard. Yeah, I would like us to be creative and use it as an opportunity for our manager to show how creative a coach he is. And let's not play with a 9. Let's not play with somebody standing in between 2 central defenders. Let's mix it up a bit. Let's play a false 9. Let's be creative. That's what it gives you the opportunity to do. Injuries happen. Yes, I don't know how we could have done anything to stop the injuries other than, as you say, keep them here. But they could have picked up an injury in training like Ricardo's.
How many players? I mean, we've got Harold Shipman as our doctor at the training.
We've got a lot of injuries, so have other clubs, and you just have to deal with it. But this is Cooper's opportunity to show us what a great coach he is and a great tactician, and I'm 100% sure that he will step up to the mark. I've got written down here.
Rated here. LCFC. I saw this video. Apparently, you've had snow in Leicester. Can I just say we haven't had bright sunshine, but we haven't seen an inch of snow, or we haven't seen a millimetre of snow down here on the south coast. But
on the Riviera. Yeah.
Well, yes, on the Jurassic Riviera, as you say. LCFC posted a video of training and Vardy was shoveling snow. I'm not a doctor, but he looks healthy. But this is the point you made, wasn't it, Kate, about Ayew and Fatawu? I mean, all right, all joking aside, Ayew is our only option or decent option if Vardy's injured, and Fatawu, well, come on, he actually has had more dribbles in the Premier League than any other player. We can't afford not to have those players, can we? But they're injured.
Well, you say that, but the last game, we'd have done a bit better without them. They're not as influential as you would like to think that they are. Fatawu is a great impact sub, but his weakness has been shown of late. And Ayew as the number 9 was just next to useless. So
well, if we don't have those, I mean, yes, I wouldn't argue with that.
Like Craig said, everybody else is in a similar position. We've just got to make do. The more important thing for me, which is the Ricardo issue, I guess, is you've got to sort out what's going on at the back. It doesn't matter what's going on at the front. When you're losing 3 goals every game, we've got to sort the defence out. That's the primary thing for Saturday, for sure. And yeah, these injuries get picked up all the time, sadly. It's frustrating it's happened on international duty. But like Craig said, like Ricardo's got injured at Leicester. Vardy's been injured at Leicester. It just goes with the territory, unfortunately.
I'll then make that move forward then, because if Craig, if Vardy isn't fit, let's say, if Daka isn't quite ready to come back into play, and it's a scary thought that he could be our main striker as he was pre-season, God help us. Ayew is, like you say, he's more of an impact sub, but that would leave us with a great choice of Dakova Reed, who was injured, so he can't actually play. So sorry, no, we can't even have Dakova Reed. Damn. Oh, I thought he was going to come on and get a hat trick. We've got Edouard. I mean, how bad does it have to be when we look at it and think Edouard is going to be possibly our main choice of striker?
Are you not fit either, Chris? I'm just checking all our options.
Well, I tell you what, Craig, you know how to score a goal at the KP. Get your boots on.
Yeah,
and indeed, Gary Lineker's out of work now, so come on, Gary, get your boots on.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're going to come on to about Edouard as well, and that will be interesting. But as I say, for me, play a false 9, play Buonanotte in that little hole. You know,
you can't. It's suspended for Saturday.
Yeah. Of course he is. Yeah. All right, play someone else. Play anyone.
Danny
Don't
Ward.
Play Edouard. Anyone. I mean,
I would just say though that we haven't seen a lot of Edouard. I would just say
we saw him stumble over that pass. I think it was against Bournemouth. I can't remember who it was anyway. That he stumbled over.
It was a blade of grass that got in his way.
Yeah, he looked surprised at what this round white thing was that was coming towards him at pace. To be honest, so who knows? Maybe he'll do better now. Maybe they'll just make some little snowballs for him and he'll be fine. But I wouldn't put a lot of thought on who's going to play up front, to be honest, because we know Chelsea are probably going to have 80% of the ball. And it's what we do with the 20% we have, and we should be looking at how we're going to hurt them. So for me, it's all about putting pace in behind them.
Can I ask a question there, Craig? That 20% that we have, does that include picking the ball out the back of the net?
Potentially. You'll have to wait and see till I put my prediction in, Chris. I can't give anything away there.
No, that is true. That is true. I know. I'm sorry that I brought that up and expected you to. Kate, Craig knows where this is going, so you probably do as well, because I think I told you. Edouard, we all know we were screaming for a new striker, and we got Edouard, who was an old striker. Was that purely to keep the fans quiet, that signing?
No, I don't think Leicester operate like that. Personally, I don't think they operate like that. I think it's been a 7-year project to try and get someone in to resemble a striker as good as Jamie Vardy. So I think that's just an ongoing thing. And because the PSR restrictions and losing out on that chap who eventually went to Hoffenheim, I can't remember his name now.
I think.
Yeah, Hoslek or something. Adam Hoslek, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah. I think we were left with some scraps, to be honest, based on affordability and availability. So, you know, I was quite excited about Edouard. I don't think we should write him off yet. And we wanted him about 3 seasons ago. So he's a striker that we've wanted.
We were rumoured to want him. I don't think we wanted him.
Well, I think we were trying to gun for him. Yeah, there was quite a lot of noise about him at the time with Brendan. And then Brendan took him to Celtic, didn't he? Or he was at Celtic when Brendan got there.
Celtic,
So I think we've got to give him a chance. But I don't think Leicester are in the habit of signing people to keep the fans quiet. I don't think that's how they operate at all. They do what they think is right at the time with the money they've got.
Okay, Craig, let me say, I've got a thing down here. What is Martin Glover doing? I mean, the Leicester, I can't think of the word now, but the Leicester framework that we've always worked on is buy them young, build them up, and then sell them on. Yes, it occasionally doesn't go that way. And yes, I know Patson Daka was going to be the big Jamie Vardy replacement, you know, in that mould.
And Slimani and Ahmed Musa.
Musa, I probably agree with. Slimani, I don't think was a Jamie Vardy type player personally, but we know how long it took to replace Mahrez. And obviously the jury's still out as if we actually have at the moment with Fatawu. But I just, why, you know, suddenly when you look at, and I know we've got PSR and what have you, but the players we've brought in, generally speaking, are older. We could have just got somebody on loan that was a lot younger, yes, from a lower league, but at least be hungry and, like you say, not be shocked when the white round thing comes towards them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Edouard was brought in purely to allow Cannon to go on loan. For me, they looked around. It seemed more like they wanted Cannon to go out on loan than to bring someone else in, because otherwise we'd have just kept Cannon. So I think that's why he was brought in. I think we've got all of this thing where Cooper's saying that he wanted experience. So I think there may have been a battle of wills there about the signings. If you appoint a new manager and then you turn down everyone he wants, then that's not a strong start for a relationship. So I think we have to take that into account, because I'm not sure that if Maresca was here, for instance, we wouldn't be buying those players. You know, there wouldn't have been the director of football, whoever is, the recruitment, whatever, would not have been saying, you must go out and buy those players. That would not have happened. So for me, that directive must have come from Cooper, or he must have been involved in those negotiations at some point. And I think we have still got that desire to try and build players up. I mean, even going back a few years, you've got to say that James Justin would have come into that bracket of a young, hungry player who's done well in the lower leagues that we brought through. I think Christensen would have been in that bracket. I think Okoli is fitting into that bracket, is still a young player. I think they're still looking at players who they know can come, get some experience in the Premier League, and then hopefully be sold. I think they're trying. Sorry?
El Canoes as well.
El Canoes, another one. I think they're still looking at that. You know, Mavididi as well. You know, all of these are players who have got their best years, hopefully, in front of them. So it makes me think that this direction has come from Cooper, who thinks you need experience to keep you in the division and then not play them.
Okay, Kate, who's been your biggest disappointment of all the new signings?
Oh, yeah.
You be thinking, Craig. I'm coming to you in a minute.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to go through them all.
Well, let's go through them. We didn't buy a goalkeeper. Surprise, surprise. Okoli. Let's have a look. Canoes, Skip, Golding, who we've never seen. Buenete.
I've already decided, Bobby.
Mr. Cordova-Reid. You see, again, to me, why? You know, he was born 1993. Somebody who's good at maths work out how old that makes
He's
him.
only 31.
But you
He's not
picked
very
him.
old.
You picked him.
No, but it's not based on age, is it? You can be crap at 20.
I'm just saying.
It's not based on age, though. 31 is not young. Jamie Vardy's 37. Nearly 38. It's not based on that.
Jamie Vardy's a one-off, you know.
It's based on his performance. His performances have been very meh.
It says here, this is on the LCFC website, that he's a skillful winger.
Well, he probably is, but it doesn't mean he can fit in a game. I'm sure he has got skills. I'm sure he can do 1,000 keepy-uppies. I'm sure he can...
Now she's defending him. Now she's picked him as the...
No, but you're picking up on things you know full well. You're being facetious. His performances are below what we'd expect. He just doesn't offer anything when he comes onto the pitch, does he? He doesn't offer anything. I don't really know what we've seen in him to think, yeah, that's exactly what we need right now.
He could bring the water bottles on for the players, couldn't he?
I think if you're 3-0 up, or, you know, like you just want a bit of a steady person. We're not ever in those kind of games. We're not in any of those kind of games where steady's okay. We need someone to either get a goal or stop more going in. And
was being the operative word, I think. Armchair Jockey says, Canuto, are you saying that he's the worst? Surely not. Craig.
I mean, on Dick Cordova-Reid, I'd probably have to agree. I think, based on what we've seen of him, I would still. I think I said this the last time that we were on. I would, if he's fit, I would be playing him up front, to be honest, over Edouard, because particularly against Chelsea, because I think he's got more pace, and I think you need pace to get in behind and just turn the game and get them going back towards their own goal. And he started off as a striker at Bristol City, and he was decent there. Somehow he's been converted. Yeah, he had a good goal scoring record at Bristol City when he played through the middle.
Get him in.
That was in the Sabutio League, though, Kate.
That'll be the most Leicester thing ever, right? Were they hunting for a striker, and there he is all along. We're just not playing him in the right bloody position.
It's interesting. I heard a guy. He was an old scout who was on the radio a couple of weeks ago, pushing his book, I think he was. But he talked about a couple of players, and he said he was working for Birmingham City at the time, and they were looking for a new striker, and they wanted someone who could play central. And they went over to see this young kid who looked great. But unfortunately, he was being played on the wing at the time, and it was like, that's not who we need. So they decided not to go for Robert Lewandowski. And also, I think West Ham were in for Drogba. Drogba was virtually signed for West Ham, and then West Ham got relegated, so he ended up at Chelsea. So it's interesting to see all these players where they could have been. But yeah, going back, probably the most disappointing signing overall is probably Cooper. I would say, if you class him as a signing.
I'm not going there. I promised Kate that this would be a Cooper free.
So yeah, players Dick Cordova-Reid, because he's not. You're right. He's not affected the game when he's come on, which is really disappointing. But again, it comes down to that 31-year-old getting a 3-year contract at a club where he knows he's not the future. It doesn't make any sense to me, signing those kind of players.
I'm going to direct this one at Craig, Kate, because he's older, so he'll remember. But do you remember when we had all those...
beauty?
Oh. If you say so.
None taken.
Yeah, I was told, my mother told me never argue with a lady, and if I find a lady tonight, I would argue.
I was going to say, you always argue with me.
Craig, do you remember before we got relegated to League One, we had a few years in the second tier where we basically became the Derby and Jones United. Because every player we signed, and there were some big names in there. Let's not forget, Celeste came along, didn't he? Les Ferdinand. Yep. Dennis Wise, who can forget Dennis Wise as much as we tried to. There was some big names who were signing, but all past their best, who literally came to us knowing that, well, I'm going to probably get paid, so I'll get me match bonus, and I've got a couple of seasons of money here just turning out for Leicester and kicking the ball around for a bit.
Yeah, we've done that down the years. Definitely, we've had a few old pros down the years. With some of that, I'm going to take
Dennis. Talk about her like that. She's still in. Don't talk about her like that.
I'm going to take Dennis Wise out of it because I just refuse to talk about him.
Just take him out.
Even Kevin Phillips, when he came to us, was past his prime. What those players had, though, and I think it's the most important thing when you're buying what should we call an experienced player who is past their best, is whether they still have some hunger and drive and desire and their own levels that they want to maintain. You can get away with it then because even though they're past their best, their drive and desire to put in a performance week in, week out means that you'll get, an 8 out of 10 most weeks out of them, whether they're great players or not. What I have a problem with is when you buy players who are past their best, who have no desire to go out and put in 100%, and that's what it looks like we've bought. And it's just really disappointing. And that's where some blame should be starting to be thrown around for me.
I mean, in fairness, Kate, you're saying hunger, drive, and desire. If we're talking about older players that we've signed, Ayew pretty much shows that, I think. He's the one that maybe does actually put that in. But like you say, not seeing it from Dakova, and I know it's hard when you're only coming on for 10 or 15 minutes here and there, but you're only on for 10 minutes. I mean, Alves only comes on for 10 minutes. Yeah, and yet you see more out of him. Maybe they're thinking about whether they've got to go down the post office to get their pensions or not.
I think Ayew's done all right. Obviously, he didn't do so well in the striker's position. But, the Bobby Cordova Reid is an odd one. I think for me, you probably got to play Edouard up top on Saturday.
Okay, let me ask this then. 20 votes in the poll, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be closing it soon. Club, country, or both are the three options. Get your votes in before I close it. It's pretty much one-sided, to be honest with you. Daka, then, Kate, if he's fit. Does he start? If Vardy's not.
No. He's poor in the Championship. There's just no chance. There's no chance at all. I'd rather have Edouard, or the false 9 could be Will Alves.
Ooh, you sooner have Edouard than Daka.
Yeah.
It is a case of,
Daka has played in the Championship and was awful. So
it is a case of rock and hard place, really, isn't it?
With Edouard, we haven't actually seen him for 90 minutes. We haven't. We know what Daka's capable of, and I can't write a lot about that. But for Edouard, we haven't seen a lot of him. But Will Alves has got to be worth a shot.
Oh,
surely.
100%. Craig, first of all, we'll come on to Alves. If Daka's fit and Vardy's not, is it Daka or Edouard for you?
I'd one of the few occasions where I disagree with Kate, I'd go for Daka purely because I think we need a threat in behind. I think we have to get them going back towards their own goal. If we allow them to just sit on the halfway line, we're not going to touch the ball.
But Daka runs around not doing anything. Do you remember him last year? He literally chased shadows. He had no spatial awareness, doesn't follow the ball.
Yeah, I get all of that. But for me, at least there's a threat in their mind that there's a quick striker that we need to drop off a little bit.
Enzo would be like, push up, lads, this guy's rubbish. That's what Enzo would be saying to them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else. I'm not sure what I admit we haven't seen what Edouard can do, but I'm not convinced that he's going to give Chelsea's backline much of a run around either. We may as well get Steve Howard out of ice or whatever and put him up there.
At least he can head the ball. You know.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Armchair Jockey was saying about El Canoes. He was disappointed with El Canoes. I expected more. Just another Winks for me. Look,
I'd take another Winks. Bloody hell!
I know you've got a bit of a liking for Harry. Could be going back off to Tottenham if rumours are true.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
If
they want to pay 30 million or above, probably more.
Well, they're saying 32 million, aren't they? Is the offer? It's
can't
rumours. Let's be honest with you, it is rumours. But would you take it? We've got a replacement there in Skip.
It's not the same though, is he? He's nowhere near the same. He's a bit different to Harry. No, I don't think I would take it at 32. Pay me 50, I think I would.
Expensive night out, you are, Kate.
He's only like 28, isn't he?
Craig, would you take 32 for Harry and move on?
Only if we spent it.
He was good in the Championship. I loved him in there. He was my signing of the season, as you know. A lot of Tottenham fans, though, said he wasn't a Premier League player. He hasn't had the impact. You could argue that's, change of manager, change of style. But would you say, yeah, give us the 32? Thank you very much. Have him back.
To be honest, I'd be tempted, just because we do have a lot of midfield players. I don't think anyone of his level. I think he has had some bad games, but I think he is the guy who knits it all together. And again, it's very difficult to know what squad you need when there's the prospect of a managerial change hanging around as well. You could sell players who the next manager wants. So I think, but at 32 million, it's tempting. I can't see it happening, to be honest. I can't see them coming in for him at 32 mil. But the only way I would say I would sanction it would be that we use that money and get someone else in, and spend it wisely. But I'm not trusting this manager to spend it wisely. He'd probably go and get Yaya Toure out of ice as well.
Soumare, though, Kate.
Not for me. He's not defensive-minded enough. He's much better going forward, as we saw against Ipswich. And then when Cooper switched it and played him more defensively at Old Trafford, it didn't work. Soumare's front-footed, and it's bloody obvious that he's front-footed, and he won't play him there. But yeah, Winks is vital for us at the minute. Particularly,
I would say, with Ricardo being injured. I think that defensively minded person who can step into midfield, who has some awareness, and that's where Soumare lets himself down. He has no awareness of what's going on around him. Get the ball to his feet and ask him to drive forward, he can do it, but ask him to check a blindside runner, it's just not happening.
I want to just go back because I forgot to ask a point that I wrote down. I was more bothered with reading my joke out, I think. You lucky people got the better.
Did I miss it?
Yes, you did.
Right,
you know when there was tumbleweed across the screen, Craig?
It was a joke. Chris, if you could put your hand up or something next time you're telling a joke, then just
wave a flag.
Yeah.
You know what?
Sorry.
This is my channel and I get insulted every time. But no, what I was going to mention was that, do you remember last year, Fatawu could have gone and played for Ghana? He was picked and he turned them down because he wanted to stop and get Leicester promoted. Again, is that a sort of, I mean, I know he's gone away now, but is that a sign sometimes that the players don't want to play international football? Either or of you there?
Not for me. I think Fatawu was looking for his appearances, wasn't he, from memory? And to make sure that he sealed the deal, really.
And
it was a personal thing. It was a personal thing, not a club thing.
But maybe he was just enjoying the training that he was getting and the improvement in his game. And this time he thought, bugger it, I'm off.
I'm trying, Kate. I'm trying. Kate keeps pulling me over that way, and I'm trying to fight back.
I'm not. I'm just making a comment and leaving it there.
Yes. I don't know whether we mentioned this before, and we're doing a lot of shows at the moment. Kieran Dewsbury Hall looks like he could be on the way out of Chelsea. If he turns up tomorrow, do we have a word with him, or he come back? And if he comes back, would he make any difference with the gentleman that we've got managing the club at the moment? Craig, let's come to you with that one.
I think he would
You're
make a
really
difference.
trying not to say his name.
Yeah.
Only because I know I'll upset you.
Um,
You scare me, Kate. You
Making
absolutely
stuff up
scare me.
as usual.
yeah, whether he would, I think he would definitely improve the team. Whether he would thrive under the barrel maker, I don't know. I'm trying to help. I don't know, because God knows, where he might play him. But I think I would, if the opportunity arose, I would take it. Let's put it that way. I think so.
Kate, our current leader, the man in the managerial office, I say you scare me. I don't mention your name. You scare me more than that. Did everybody ever watch The Ring? That woman that comes out the television at you. Wow. I keep thinking Kate's going to do that to me. She scares me. You have got a very scary daughter, Mrs. Blanchard.
I think my mum once called me intimidating.
Have they?
I think my mum once called me that. Yeah, a long time ago. Bit of fierce. I think she's a bit fierce.
Give me some advice. Go on. Your thoughts on it?
This isn't one of those late night porn channels, Chris. What do you think you're doing?
Especially with my mother. Stop it right there. Bloody hell. What has this become?
Where's your husband out? I can't get there tonight. The snow's there, so I can't get there tonight.
This might be really silly, and I feel like I could have egg on my face, but I've thought this since about September, that this was part of the plan to help him out with the PSR stuff, and then we take him back in Jan.
I
think you could see a bit more of this happening with the goings on, and particularly with young players where you get to use the full profit as well. Like, I think we could see more of it, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Top pulled a blinder there.
That would be good. I just wonder whether he would make any difference.
Yeah, I think he would. I think we're missing that box-to-box midfielder, because Winks is defensive. Skip, for some reason, has kind of been pulled a bit, but I find Skip switches off a bit sometimes. And Wilf doesn't really know where he's at. He's in a hybrid role, and he's a square peg in a round hole at the minute. But KDH for me was our box-to-box midfielder, very Drinkwater-esque in how he got around the pitch. And I think he'd fit in nicely linking back up with Winks again, to be honest. I saw that interest from Villa as well, but I just can't see where Villa would put him.
Apparently, they have tabled an offer, but according to, depending which paper you read, 18 clubs have gone in for him, and all of them are from the Premier League. So
is he going to boot Yuri out? I don't think so. No. They don't need that. KDH isn't going to go to a club and sit on the bench.
Oh, you're not going to get Enzo Yuri, I don't think. But look, guys, thank you so. I've got one question, but I'm going to say thank you so very much for joining us this evening. Just to let everybody know before everybody goes, tomorrow night at 7:00, we are going to be talking to Keith Hackett. For those of you that remember, that are old like Craig, he used to be a Premier League referee. He used to be a UEFA referee. More than that, he used to be the chief executive of the Referees Association, the PGMOL. We've had him on the station before, so he's very kindly agreed to come back tomorrow, and he will be talking to us about a certain Mr. Coote. And if he gets away with it, definitely it's going to be one rule for one rule for the other. 7:00 tomorrow on this channel. Last question, ladies and gentlefolk. Enzo's back on Saturday morning, or Saturday lunchtime, I should say. What sort of welcome will he get, do we think, Craig?
Mixed. I think there'll be a lot of anti-Enzo feeling there. A lot of I think he'll get booed, and I think the boos will drown out the polite clapping that will probably come, which is where I'll be. I think I don't like booing people. At the end of it, he did a great job of what was asked of him. You know, he got us up. I don't like the way he left. I don't like the fact that he's not said one word about the club since he's left. That's the bit that really jars with me. Usually people thank you for giving him the opportunity to be a manager or something, have some nice words. And the fact that he's come out and said nothing, you know, I don't know if it says, you know, what's going on at the club or whether it says more about him. I think it probably says a little bit more about him. I do think he has an arrogance about him. I'll give him a clap for what he did for us. He got us promoted, but I think it will be drowned out by the boos, to be honest.
Kate?
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be mixed. I think I, for one, will be clapping him because he did do exactly what was asked of him. And I don't blame anybody for leaving for an arguably better job with better money and prospects. So you can't really grumble at that. But yeah, he said some harsh things last year in some of his interviews. I don't massively like the way he goes about his business. Like even with Chelsea, like he's, you know, pulled out Reece James recently, hasn't he? And players like that, just I'm not down with that. But I'm not going to boo him because he did what a lot of managers can't do, like the instant rebound back into the Premier League, and we were almost on for a record because of him, and he transformed a few of our players. But yeah, it was just left a bit of bitterness, didn't it? The way it all happened and how quick it happened. So
I think that was the thing for me, because at the time we all hated him. Let's be honest with you, you know, every single one of us. But once you sort of take off those blue tinted spectacles, Chelsea, Leicester, it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. And I think it just came before any of us were expecting it. You know, we thought he'd at least get one term in the Premier League, or at least till January. Had he stayed at Leicester and we'd gone down, could that have been the end of his managerial career? Look, he was brought in to get us promoted. Yeah, we nearly blew it, but we didn't. He got us up by 1 point. He has no allegiance to the club whatsoever. You know, he's not a Leicester lad. He hasn't, you know, watched us from the terraces, etc., etc. To him, it was a job. And let's be honest with you, he did a job. And he did what was asked of. It's like if Cooper's is... Oh, God, I said that word. Sorry, Kate. Forgive me. If he's still with us at the end of the season and we finish 17th and he keeps us up, he's done what what was expected of him, you know. So for me, I would probably applaud him, like you say, because he did what we all would do. And that is, better job comes along, you go for it. I'm sorry, you do, guys. Right, that's it. It was all over, unless either of you two would like to add anything or say anything or ask anything.
No, the only thing I was going to mention is just on our midfield again, and I'll keep it brief. But I was thinking about this because I know, you know, last time we were on, we were talking about who we would have in our midfield, and I was thinking back to Wilf and what's happened to Wilf.
God, you really are going.
If you find out, you need to let everybody at the club know.
Well, I'll tell you what I think happened. He was a star wanted by every big club, probably around Europe at the time.
Yeah,
but he was playing as a one. We played with one holding midfield player, so it was his responsibility to do that job. When you have two of them, I find it's like, okay, who's picking him? Are you picking him? Am I picking him? Do I stay back? Do you stay back? I think Wilf, you get the best out of Wilf by playing him as a single defensive midfielder. And if Winks went, then that's what I would do with him. Put him back in there and play him as a 1, because that's where he proved himself. That's where he became the player that we wanted to. And then we had this pivot change where we started playing with 2, and he's never been the same player since.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
I'd go with that completely. I do think that's where he was best. He was the most industrial and efficient in his best way. And as we've moved, he almost has too much to think about now, where I think he's always been quite one-dimensional, and that's okay. Like Kante was similar. Kante is very one-dimensional. You stick him what he's good at and he will blow everybody away. But Wilf at the minute, there's too much going on that he can't hone his best skills. I also think, I don't know whether you think the same, Craig, when you're watching at the ground, but there's an element of Wilf where I feel like he's lost a bit of his engine stamina-wise. He used to run for days, and I just don't get the impression that he's got that in his locker anymore.
I wonder whether it's not necessarily a fact that he's lost that, or whether he's lost his ability to recover. That may be it, because when he was there, he was doing a lot of sideways. He was giving the ball. He was making the odd foray forward, but when you're having to run forward, run back, run forward, run back, I think that really tests your engine and your recovery.
Because JJ, on the other hand, which is why I want JJ, the situation around the JJ position to be sorted, because I don't think the bottom line is JJ's having a stinker of a season. I think he's not being protected enough and is exposed, which is a different talk about the formation. But JJ is probably the fittest in our squad. The way that guy can go up and down that channel for 90 minutes is unbelievable.
Yeah,
literally minute 89, he's still sprinting to keep up with any fresh legs that have come on the pitch. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if we've not got Fatu on that right. He's got a problem with James Justin at the weekend, and we've got no Buana Not, which would normally try and cover that side as well.
We just get Albrighton back on a fortnightly
time for hands off. I don't know.
Prediction League is going to be interesting this week, isn't it? 0-5, 0-6.
You never know.
Oh no, this season you never know. You never know. Cooper may just pull something out the bag. Unfortunately, I'll probably be a hand of shit, but there we go. Guys, thank you so very much. If you're watching, please do subscribe. If you're new, smash that like button. That really does help the channel, gets us on other people's homepage. If you want to become a member, it's $1.99, and I'm really desperate for the money at the moment. It's costing me a fortune to keep ringing up and voting for Colleen to do these damn bush trucker trials. So please do subscribe and help me. Kate, where can people find? We'll go ladies first.
I'm on X at Kate Blakey 40. So
are you not on Blue Sky yet?
I'm not on Blue Sky. I'm a bit.
Get on it.
I'm a bit old school. I didn't really know what it was until you mentioned it. I'll have to have a butcher's.
I didn't, to be honest with you. I saw somebody mention it, funnily enough, on X, and it is literally. It is Twitter.
Yeah, I had a look at it. It looks identical.
It is. Well, they're the same guys. Craig, you are on Blue Sky, I believe.
I did sign myself up there. I don't think I've done anything on it other than follow a few people, but they've got restraining orders on me, so that's not worked. Yeah. So you can find me on Blue Sky at CraigBird1 and on X/Twitter just at CraigBird.
Thanks very much. And are you going to the match of the weekend, guys?
We will be indeed. We shall be there clapping politely.
I don't like 12:30 kickoffs because I get really hungry.
Yeah.
It's such a crap time of day to have a football match.
You can eat before the game.
That's like 11. Who wants lunch at 11?
Well, you have brunch.
Hey, Kate, maybe they'll have some tasty, crispy coconut roll snacks for us.
I missed mine. It's
you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I
think I've still got a packet. I'll save it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome along to the food channel. There you go.
It's a Craig Bird food bank.
Thanks very much, guys. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. And don't forget, guys, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we have got Keith Hackett on. Going to be a good show. Join us and get your questions in there. And I will see you then. Thanks very much to everybody who has been in the chat. Really, really do appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Take care. I've just got to find the right button now. Here we go.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.